Yo, 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 man, what's poppin', man? Hope you guys had a blessed and prosperous day. It is currently February 28th at 9:56 p.m. Y'all already know how we get. I'm not gonna really talk too much. Let's go ahead and get in the read. 15 minutes on the clock. Let's go ahead and lock in, man. So, picking up from where we left off from the other day, we're currently in chapter 10, Get the Action Habit, and we're on page 224. So it says, action must precede action. That's the law of nature. Nothing starts itself, not even dozens of mechanical gadgets we use daily. Your home is heated automatically, but you must select, take action, the temperature you want. Your car shifts gears automatically after you have set the right lever. The same principle applies to mind action. Get your mind in gear to make it produce for you. A young branch sales manager from door-to-door sales organization explained how he trained his sales force the mechanical way to start each day earlier and more successful. These tremendous resistance to the door-to-door salesman, as anyone who has ever sold a house to a house knows, he commented, and it's hard. Even for the veteran salesman to make the first call in the morning, he knows the odds are pretty good that he'll get some pretty rough treatment before the day is over. So it's natural for him to put off getting started in the morning. He'll drink a couple of extra cups of coffee, maybe cruise around the neighborhood a while, or a dozen little things to postpone that first call. I train each new man this way. I explain to him that the only way to start is to start. Don't deliberate. Don't postpone getting started. Do this. Just park your car, get your sample case, walk to the door, ring the bell, smile, say good morning, and make your presentation. All mechanically, without a lot of conscious thought. Start making calls this way and you break the ice. By the second or third call, your mind is sharp and your presentations become more effective. A humorist once said the most difficult problem in life was getting out of a warm bed in a cold room. And he had a point. The longer you lie there and think how unpleasant it will be to get up, the more difficult it becomes. I'm pretty sure y'all didn't had that in y'all life before. Your alarm clock tells you to get up and you just, for some odd reason, just don't want to get up. But it's like once you do get up, you're up. You don't want to lay back down. So it's kind of the same concept with this. Even such a simple operation as this, mechanical action, just throwing off the covers and putting your feet on the floor, defeats dread. The point is clear. People who get things done in this world don't wait for the spirit to move them. They move the spirit. Try these two exercises. Number one, use the mechanical way to accomplish simple but sometimes unpleasant business and household chores. Rather than think about the unpleasant features of the task, jump right in and get going without a lot of deliberation. Perhaps the most unpleasant household task to most women is washing dishes. My mother is no exception, but she has mastered a mechanical approach to dispensing with this task quickly, so she can return to things she likes to do. As she leaves the table, she's always mechanically picks up several dishes and without thinking about the task ahead, just gets started. In a few minutes, she is through. Doesn't this beat stacking dishes and dreading the unpleasant inevitable? Do this today. Pick up one thing you like to do least, then without telling yourself deliberate or dread the task, do it. That's the most efficient way to handle chores. Be like Nike, man. Just do it. Next, use the mechanical way to create new ideas. Map out plans, solve problems, and do other work that requires top mental performance. Rather than wait for the spirit to move you, sit down and move the spirit. Man, David J. Schwartz cooking, man. David J. Schwartz be cooking. Here's a special technique guaranteed to help you. Use a pencil and paper. A simple pencil is the greatest concentration tool money can buy. If I had to choose between an ultra fancy, deeply carpeted, beautiful, decorated, soundproof office and a pencil and paper, I choose the pencil and paper every time. With the pencil and paper, you can tie your mind to a problem. When you write a thought on paper, your full attention is automatically focused on that thought. That's because the mind is designed to think one thought and write another at the same time. And when you write on paper, you write on your mind too. Tests prove conclusively that you remember something much longer than more exactly if you write the thought on paper. Once you master the pencil and paper technique for the concentration, you can think in noisy or other distracting situations. When you want to think, start writing or doodling or diagramming. It's an excellent way to move your spirit. Now is the magic word of success. Tomorrow, next week, later, sometimes, someday, often are not synonyms for the failure. Now is the magic word of success. Tomorrow, next week, later, sometimes, someday, often are not synonyms for the failure word. Never. See, that's the thing. Someday is not a part of the days of the week. You got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Someday is not in that, so stop saying someday. Lots of good dreams never come true because we'll say, I'll start someday, when we should say, I'll start now, right now. Take one example, saving money. Just about everyone agrees that saving money is a good idea. But just because it's a good idea doesn't mean many folks follow an organized saving and investment program. Literally, a lot of people say they want to save money. They constantly keep spending it. They constantly have horrible spending habits. They look at their wants and they prioritize that over their needs. Many people have intentions to save, but only relatively few act on these intentions. Here's how a young couple got in gear with the regular wealth accumulation program. Bill's take-home income was $1,000 a month, but he and his wife Janet spent $1,000 each month too. Both wanted to save, but there was always reasons why they felt they couldn't begin. For years, they had promised themselves, "We'll start when we get a raise. When we've caught up with our installments. When we get over this hump, next month, next year." Finally, Janet got disgusted with the failure to save. She said to Bill, look, do we want to save or don't we? He replied, "Of course we do. You know as well as I, we can't put aside anything now." But for once, Janet was in the do or die mode. We've been telling ourselves for years we're going to start a savings program. We don't save because we think we can't. Now, let's start thinking we can. See, you have to have that accountability. Like sometimes, even if you're in a gym, if you know you've been slacking with your eating or anything physical, and if you tell yourself, "Hey, I'm not doing it right. I need to improve. I need to do this." I always go by this: change. If you want change, change. Simple. And it says, I saw an ad today that showed if we just save $100 a month in 15 years, we'd have 18,000 plus 6,000 accumulated interest. The ad also said it's easier to spend what's left over after savings than it is to save what's left over after spending. If you're game, let's start with 10% of your pay and let's save off the top. We may eat crackers and milk before the month's up, but if we have to, we will. Sometimes you have to live before your means, bro. Literally. And I'm in the process. Y'all gonna see I have a main page. I might link it in this video, but I do have a main vlog page. If anyone, I do have a lot of different things that I want to do on there. There's a lot of big things. But I don't want to get into sidetrack. This is about reading, but I just want to say that. It says Bill and Janet were cramped for a few months, but soon they were adjusted to their new budget. Now they feel it's just as much fun to spend money on savings as it is to spend it on something else. Want to write a note to a friend? Do it now. Got an idea you think will help your business? Present it now. Live the advice of Benjamin Franklin. Come on, Benjamin, what he say? He say, don't put off until tomorrow what you can do today. Oh my God, bro. Benjamin Franklin cooking. I'm going to read that one more time. He says, don't put off until tomorrow what you can do today. Remember, thinking in terms of now gets things accomplished. But thinking in terms of someday or sometimes usually means failure. One day I stopped to see an old business friend. She had just returned from a conference with several of her executives. The moment I looked at her, I could tell there was something she wanted to get off her chest. She had the look of a woman who had suffered from real disappointment. She said, I called that conference this morning because I wanted some help on a proposed policy change. But what kind of help did I get? I had 6 men in there and only one of them had anything to contribute. Two others talked, but what they said was just an echo of what I had said. It was like talking to a bunch of vegetables. I confess, it's hard for me to find out what people it's hard for me to find I confess, it's hard for me to find out what those fellows think. Really? She went on, you'd think these fellows would speak up and let me know what they think. After all, it directly affects each of them. My friend didn't get help in the conference, but had you roamed the hall after the meeting broke up, you would have heard her junior associates making remarks like, I felt like saying, why didn't someone suggest, I don't think we ought to go ahead. So often, the vegetables, those who have nothing to say in the conference room, are full of all talk after the meeting, when what they've got to say won't make any difference. They're suddenly full of life when it's too late. Business executives want comment. The fellow who hides his light under a bushel hurts himself. Get the speak up habit. Each time you speak up, you strengthen yourself. Come forward with your constructive ideas. We all know how many college students prepare their assignments with fine intention. Joe College sets aside a whole evening for some concentrated study. Here's a general pattern of how too often the evening is spent. Joe is ready to begin studying at 6 p.m., but his dinner seems just a bit heavy, so he decides to get a little TV in. A little time turns to over an hour's worth since the program was pretty good. At 8 p.m., he sits down at his desk, but gets right back up because he just remembered he promised to call his girl. This shoots another 40 minutes. He hadn't talked to her all day. And an incoming call takes another 20 minutes. On his way back to his desk, Joe is drawn by a ping pong game. I have to finish this, y'all. So we gonna finish this paragraph, and then I'll what's the next page? Okay. It says, on his way back to his desk, Joe is drawn into a ping pong game. Another hour gone. The ping pong game makes him feel sweaty, so he takes a shower. Next, he needs a snack. The combined effect of ping pong and the shower made him hungry. And so the evening plan with good intention drifts away. Finally, at 1 a.m., he opens the book, but he's too sleepy to absorb the subject. Finally, he surrenders completely. Next morning, he tells the professor, I hope you give me a break. I studied till 2 a.m. for this exam. Joe College didn't get into action because he spent too much time getting ready to get into action. And Joe College isn't alone in being a victim of over-preparedness. Joe salesman, Joe executive, Joe professional worker, Josephine housewife, they all often try to build strength and get ready with office chats, coffee breaks, sharpening pencils, reading, personal business, getting the desk cleared off, TV, and dozens of other little escape devices. And that's when we put the bookmark and we close the book, man. We're going to resume on page 230 in chapter 10 is the Get the Action Habit. Hope you guys had a blessed and prosperous day. Hope you guys enjoyed the read. I'll get up with y'all tomorrow.